Welcome to this QT YouTube video about practical debating arguments. In this video we will cover what a practical argument is and when to use them, basic structure, overview of content, and tips and tricks. Let's move on now to talking about what a practical argument is. In debating, first and second speakers generally have 2 points in their speeches. A practical point is an argument that supports your side of the topic by focusing on the practical outcomes of the debate. A good practical point will aim to convince the adjudicator of a specific positive outcome for your side of the topic or a specific harm for the other side of the topic. Often, you will aim to do both. A practical argument focuses on outcomes, whereas a principled argument focuses on morals and competing priorities. In debating, the first speaker will often have a principled argument as their 1.1 to help frame the debate, and the rest of the points will be practical. However, there is no strict rule regarding how many practical or principal points belong in a debate. Practical points have 4 key components: point label, explanation, supporting evidence, and a link back to the topic. You may have heard this explained in the past as peel. The point label is a sentence which briefly explains what you are going to prove in the point. A good point label should refer to the specific impact you are going to address, rather than just saying something vague like harms. For example, for the topic that we should ban single-use plastic, the point label that single-use plastics cause waterway pollution is better than the point title environmental harms. The next step is to explain why your point is correct. This section of your point is the most important and longest component. When trying to explain your point, make sure that you are credible and concise, compare your side of the debate to what would happen in the other team's world, and explain why your argument is important. Also, always remember to say how and why something happens, rather than just asserting that it is true. For example, instead of saying single-use plastics kill animals, so we have to ban them, it is more persuasive to explain that single-use plastics can find their way into waterways when not disposed of correctly and pollute the ocean, leading animals to ingest these items and sadly die. Evidence can also help to strengthen your argument. For example, you might add to that argument by stating that over 100,000 marine animals are killed by plastic bags alone annually, with 1 in 3 leatherback sea turtles found with plastic bags in their stomach. When supporting your argument with evidence, it is important to explain the significance of your examples or evidence, draw upon reliable sources, and make sure that you're not using personal examples. The final step is to conclude your argument by linking it back to the topic. For example, you would conclude by stating, because of the unacceptable harms to marine life, we must ban single-use plastic. Now that you have a good understanding of the fundamental structure, let's talk about the content of an argument in more detail. Apart from the basic peel structure, it can be helpful to structure the explanation component of your speech around some key questions. These might include context questions such as, what is the world like right now? Or what is the problem we are trying to address? Mechanism questions like, how would we change the world if we adopted our side of the debate? Or how would the world change if the opposition adopted their side of the debate? Outcome questions like, what would happen as a result of that? And impact questions such as, why would we care about this? Now let's bring it all together. To my first point, that we should ban single-use plastic as it causes waterway pollution. If we take the example of our point about banning single-use plastic, it might look a bit like this. At the moment, the problem is that 8 million metric tons of plastic enter the ocean every year. Plastic items such as bags and straws can confuse sea life as they resemble food, leading animals to ingest these items and tragically die. This dire situation has resulted in over 100,000 marine animals being killed by plastic bags alone annually, with 1 in 3 leatherback sea turtles found with plastic bags in their stomach. By banning single-use plastic, we would get rid of 40% of the plastic disposed of every year and eliminate the plastic that is most likely to be disposed of incorrectly, meaning that less plastic will be in the ocean. As a result, we will help keep marine life healthy and safe as there will be less plastic in the ocean. This is important because animals deserve to have a safe place to live, and marine biodiversity is essential for key industries such as tourism and fishing. For example, over 14 nations have already banned single-use plastics, resulting in huge benefits to their marine wildlife. These nations include China, Colombia, Rwanda, Zimbabwe, Samoa, and Bangladesh. As these nations demonstrate, there are viable alternatives to single-use plastic, and single-use plastic can be banned. Because of the unacceptable harms to marine life, we must ban single-use plastic. Now for some final tips. Number 1, make sure that your point label explains what you are going to prove. Number 2, explain the logic underpinning your arguments rather than just relying on examples. And number 3, explain how and why something happens or is important, rather than just asserting it. Thank you for watching this QTU YouTube video on practical points. We encourage you to check out our video on principal points, which is coming soon. If you want to find more resources, please head to our website www.qtu.org.au.